5 minutes to rehearsal, Magnifico! Screeched Gloria, the stage manager, flicking the dusty velvet curtains of the Grand Bijou Theater. Backstage smelled of mothballs, grease paint, and the faint whiff of carrot tops that always seemed to accompany the great Magnifico's signature act. The hat and rabbit routine that had made him a minor celebrity in 3 countries and one particularly enchanted cul-de-sac. The magician polished the rim of his towering silk top hat with a handkerchief embroidered with tiny rabbits. Ironic foreshadowing, had he noticed. But his smile faltered when no twitching nose emerged. He cleared his throat in his most avuncular baritone. "Buttons, old chap! Rehearsal time. Dramatic flourish. Hop, flourish. Bow. Remember." The hat remained stubbornly hat-shaped and rabbitless. Only a muffled mumble drifted out, something about overtime and exploitive root vegetable economics. Magnifico blinked. "Pardon." Inside the hat, Buttons reclined in a miniature deck chair fashioned from playing cards, gnawing a celery stick like a cigar. "I said!" the rabbit shouted, voice echoing against the hat's satin lining. "I'm on strike. No hop, no flourish. No adorable nose wiggle until the management pays overtime carrots." He unfurled a tiny parchment-headed Union of Prestidigitated Lagomorphs, Local 415, and waved it like a rally flag. Outside, Magnifico's cheeks turned the color of overripe tomatoes. "Overtime. Buttons. We've rehearsed this act for years." The rabbit kicked aside a glitter-encrusted ace of spades. "Exactly. And every rehearsal runs 15 minutes late because you can't locate your dramatic fog dispenser. That's time and a half per the contract you never bothered to read." The magician swallowed hard. He distinctly remembered scrawling something resembling a contract, but he'd been distracted by a pesky dove molting in his pocket. The discord might have ended there if tonight's performance weren't scheduled to be the most important of Magnifico's middling career. A gala fundraiser packed with critics, socialites, and the Duchess of Dithering, who famously donated vast sums to artists that made her giggle. Without Buttons, there would be no giggling Duchess, no glowing reviews, and more pressingly, no paycheck to cover the silk handkerchief habit Magnifico refused to acknowledge. Gloria popped her coiffed head through the curtain again. 2 minutes, Wonder Boy. Audience is already rustling programs. Magnifico clutched the hat like a life preserver. "Buttons, pal. Buddy. Carrot connoisseur. I'll throw in a few extra orange beauties right after rehearsal." From the hat. "Hazard pay first. Theatrical labor later. I'm not hopping on empty promises. Or an empty stomach." Magnifico's mind cartwheeled back 6 months to the day he discovered Buttons rummaging through the backstage vegetable tray. Top hat perched sideways on his fluffy head like a beret. The rabbit had performed a flawless card fan flourish with his ears, and Magnifico recruited him on the spot. Only later did he learn Buttons' lineage. Grandson of the legendary escape artist Houdini Hop, and certified graduate of the Burrow and Teller School of Magical Arts. Buttons had insisted on an apprenticeship contract, but Magnifico, distracted by his ongoing rivalry with the disconcerting Diego and his disobedient doves, signed without reading the finer print, particularly the clause stating that all rehearsals exceeding scheduled duration shall be remunerated in carrots at a ratio of 1.5 carrots per lagomorphic labor hour. The clause was initialed in radish ink. Foolishly, Magnifico assumed a rabbit couldn't actually enforce paperwork. Now, those assumptions simmered into a crisis. Desperation twisted Magnifico's mustache. He hunted backstage for emergency substitutes. A rubber chicken, too floppy. A sleepy ferret, refused to fit in the hat and attempted to unionize the feather dusters. A hand puppet, shaped like a rabbit. Gloria dismissed it with a glare that could desiccate celery. Meanwhile, Buttons lounged, blasting ukulele music from a matchbox-sized phonograph, perfectly audible to everyone except, inconveniently, the paying crowd beyond the curtain. "We're doomed!" groaned Magnifico, collapsing onto a crate of stage cobwebs. Gloria tapped her clipboard like a woodpecker on meth. "You've got 60 seconds. If the Duchess doesn't see a rabbit, she'll fund that street mime from Barcelona instead, and I will personally feed you to your own top hat." Magnifico's panic birthed a reckless idea: negotiate from the inside. He muttered the rarely used Shrinko Presto incantation, a spell he'd mastered only once, during an unfortunate incident involving his dry cleaner and a size 4 tux. With a pop, he zipped to action figure scale and dove headfirst into the hat. The satin interior expanded into a cavernous wonderland. Origami moons dangled from threads. Disused silk scarves wafted like psychedelic stalactites. And, at its center, Buttons reclined beneath a cocktail umbrella jammed into a marshmallow. "Ah, management descends," the rabbit drawled. Magnifico straightened his miniature tux tails. "Negotiations are formally open," he announced, trying to sound taller. Buttons produced a clipboard larger than the magician now was. "Let's review. You owe me 23 overtime carats for rehearsals this month, plus 4 hazard carats for the confetti cannon misfire." "Hazard carats!" Magnifico squeaked. Buttons pointed at a patch of missing fur on his flank, courtesy of said cannon. "Emotional distress garnish," he added. Magnifico's shoulders sagged. "Look, friend, my carat budget is tight. Silks don't starch themselves." Buttons chomped his celery cigar, eyes narrowing. Clause 14b states, "Failure to remunerate shall result in immediate labor withdrawal, up to and including indefinite hat occupancy." "Your words, not mine." The rabbit tapped the parchment with bureaucratic finality. Magnifico contemplated the absurdity. He'd been outmaneuvered by a furball with a better legal education. Outside, time barreled forward. Gloria resorted to stalling the audience with impromptu juggling of ticket stubs, an act whose novelty expired in 43 seconds. The orchestra pit musicians, paid by the hour, began idly playing Ride of the Valkyries, heightening everyone's anxiety. Inside the hat, Magnifico counteroffered, "What if I add a spa day? Carrot juice foot soak." Buttons plucked a carrot-sized abacus. "I want double carrots for tonight. The gala goes late, and your dramatic fog bets against punctuality." Magnifico tried conjuring a bouquet, but produced only a sign reading, "IOU, Infinite Orange Undertaking." Buttons sniffed. Cute pun. Not edible. The negotiations seesawed. Magnifico proposed 1.5 carats per overtime hop. Buttons demanded 2. Magnifico suggested installing a time clock. Buttons wanted a chaise lounge made of romaine leaves. Somewhere between requests for gluten-free alfalfa croutons and hazard insurance for ears. The top hat trembled, shrinking spell wearing off. Magnifico ballooned to normal size, crashing through the hat's crown and landing on stage with a spectacular rip that exposed his striped socks. The audience gasped. Flashes from socialite opera glasses glittered like paparazzi bulbs. Gloria hissed, "We're live, genius." The Duchess of Dithering leaned forward, eyes alight with morbid fascination. Magnifico plastered on a grin. "Ladies and gentlemen, a minor wardrobe adjustment. Observe the marvels of modern millinery." He thrust the mutilated hat, now with a skylight, toward the footlights. No bunny appeared. Instead, confetti burst upward, spelling the ominous phrase, "Pay your talent," in glittering cursive. The crowd oohed. Button's disembodied voice echoed from within. "Management has been notified of labor violations." The orchestra, sensing drama, transitioned into a jaunty strike anthem. Magnifico's collar soaked with sweat. He hurled the hat skyward. It hung mid-air, spinning, then plopped onto his head, still rabbitless. A polite cough rippled through the house, the dread sound of an audience losing patience and preparing pointed reviews beginning with, "Sadly." Unexpectedly, Buttons emerged, halfway. Only his head popped out, ears wearing tiny protest placards reading, "Fair wage before stage." The audience erupted in delighted laughter, assuming it was part of the shtick. Buttons seized the moment, addressing them like a shaggy senator. "Friends, mammals, ticket holders, lend me your applause. For too long have rabbits endured unreasonable rehearsal extensions and subpar carrot conditions." The Duchess cackled, thoroughly amused. "Oh, how marvelously topical!" she cried, clapping her jeweled hands. Magnifico, though mortified, recognized golden opportunity. The rabbit's rant was killing. He whispered furtively, "Fine, fine. 2 carrots over time, hazard insurance, whatever you want. Just finish the act." Buttons swiveled his head. "Put it in writing. Publicly. With witnesses." Gloria thrust a clipboard at Magnifico, who scribbled a contract so quickly the pen smoked. To ensure theatrical flair, he transformed the paper into a neon orange carrot the size of a violin. Legalese etched in parsley green ink. Buttons scrutinized every clause, licking paw to flip imaginary pages. After a dramatic pause, he nodded and stamped it with a seal. A literal baby seal he conjured, which barked, pressing its nose for an ink imprint before vanishing in a puff of kelp. The audience hooted. "Contract ratified," declared Buttons. He disappeared into the hat, only to spring out in a triple somersault, landing on Magnifico's shoulder as the fog machine, already late, finally wheezed to life. Together, they performed the polished routine. Buttons pulled scarves from Magnifico's sleeves. Magnifico drew glittery vegetables from Buttons' waistcoat. They finished with a dual bow, hat levitating, while rabbits of every color hopped in formation, spelling "Thank you" in cursive. The Duchess stood, showering the stage with coins and compliments. Critics scribbled furiously, adjectives like meta, revolutionary, and adorably proletarian dotting their pads. Backstage post-show carrot crates arrived by courier, each stamped strictly organic and bearing the Duchess's crest. Buttons lounged atop them like a triumphant pirate on gold. Magnifico approached, hat stitched and freshly starched. "Partners," he offered, extending a hand. Buttons shook with a paw. "Partners, with benefits, meaning paid meal breaks and an annual radish, 401k. Gloria barged in, waving tomorrow's paper. Photo of Magnifico and Buttons mid-bow under headline. "Labor Carrot's triumph in hilarious hat hijinks." She smirked. "Box office pre-sales just exploded. Try not to blow it, boys." Weeks passed, and the show evolved into the Great Magnifico and Buttons, a unionized wonder. Every performance included a comedic mini-negotiation skit that ended in spectacular illusions and a shower of baby carrots for the audience. Buttons established the United Federation of Stage Critters, granting moles, ferrets, and even the formerly disobedient doves decent benefits and earplugs. Meanwhile, Magnifico discovered that well-rested, fairly fed rabbits deliver sharper comedic timing. And critics adored the newfound authenticity. The magician's silk handkerchief budget thrived, funded by sold-out shows and the Duchess's ongoing patronage. One late evening, as they packed trunks for a world tour, Magnifico found Buttons in the prop room, carefully spreadsheeting carrot inventory. "We leave for New Glastonbury at dawn," Magnifico said, "where rumor has it the broccoli is magical." Buttons twitched his whiskers in interest. Does magical broccoli pay overtime? Magnifico laughed. Only if you stay late to eat it. Buttons considered, then chuckled. Put it in the contract. They shared a wink, understanding that in showbiz, like in Rabbit Warrens, true magic happens when everyone gets their fair share of the carrots. When the curtain rose on their new Glastonbury debut, Buttons burst forth on cue, ears crisp, eyes sparkling, pocket watch ticking. The audience gasped at the grandeur, but Magnifico smiled calmly. He knew the secret wasn't hidden in the hat, nor in the sleight of hand. It was in the simple arithmetic of respect, multiplied by ridiculous amounts of vegetables. And as Buttons vaulted through rings of shimmering stardust toward a waiting platter of hazard pay heirloom carrots, the magician couldn't help thinking that sometimes the most astonishing trick of all is learning to pay your bunny on time.